The Iroquois, the Six Nations Confederacy by Mary Englar, Chapter 1. Mohawk men traditionally decorated themselves with beads, jewelry, and body paint. The Mohawk are members of the Iroquois Confederacy. Who are the Iroquois? For more than 1,000 years, the Iroquois nations have lived in the northeastern part of the United States and in southern Canada. The word Iroquois often refers to a group of languages, but in this book, the word refers to some of the Iroquois-speaking people. These nations are sometimes called the Iroquois Confederacy, or the Six Nations of the Iroquois. The lands of the Iroquois once stretched from the Hudson River in the east to Lake Erie in the west. The Iroquois lived as far north as Ontario, Canada, and as far south as Tennessee. When the Iroquois first came to present-day New York, they found clear lakes, deep forests, and plenty of wildlife. The people fished in the rivers and the lakes. In the forest, they cut down trees to build shelters. Iroquois hunted deer and wild birds for food. They also gathered wild berries and nuts. They planted corn, beans, squash, and other vegetables to add to their food supplies. Between the years 1000 and 1500, the Iroquois Confederacy united the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations. In 1722, the Tuscarora Nation joined the Confederacy. These six nations formed a peaceful alliance, which was a group of cooperating nations. When the non-Iroquois people arrived in the Iroquois lands, they recognized and respected the Confederacy. Traders did business with the Iroquois the same way they did any other independent nation. In the late 1700s, the Iroquois Confederacy impressed the early leaders of the United States. Thomas Jefferson used ideas from the Confederacy as the basis for writing parts of the U.S. Constitution. The Iroquois lived in traditional villages, such as this one in New York. These teepee-like buildings were bark-covered Mohawk huts. A proud people. In the early 1600s, French traders began to explore Canada. They met the Algonquin people, who called their nearby enemies Iroquois. This word means snakes. The name the Iroquois call themselves is Haudenosaunee. This word means people of the Longhouse. The Longhouse was a large house built in which many related families lived. The Iroquois people built and lived in longhouses. Today, about 45,000 Iroquois live in reservations in New York, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma. The United States government sets aside areas of land called reservations for American Indians to use. About 37,000 Iroquois live in the areas in Canada called reserves. These reserves are located in Ontario and Quebec. Many Iroquois also live in Canadian cities and in New York and other states. Today, the Iroquois act as an independent nation. They consider their confederacy to be equal to the governments of Canada and the United States. Many Iroquois are college professors, artists, lawyers, steelworkers, students, and politicians. The Iroquois care for their lands in the same way their ancestors have for thousands of years. They work to preserve their own homelands and land throughout the United States and Canada. The people of the Longhouse have survived. Here are the Iroquois lands. You'll notice the Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and Mohawk within New York State. Here's the legend. The original Iroquois confederacies. This is the United States, Canada, and the cities. And we'll go on to Chapter 2 later.